Welcome to an experience powered by Pipe TV. Hello, welcome to Beauty Behold Beauty Transitions. Today we have an exciting show with a beautiful, talented runway fashion model by the name of Anjie Brown, but she goes by the name of the original runway killer. Are you intrigued? So am I. So let me introduce you to the fabulous Anjie Brown. Hi, Anjie.
Hi, Jill. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to have you here, and we're going to get going because I just intrigued the viewing audience with the original runway Killah. So can you give us a little bit of background about who you are, where you're from? Just share with us who you are so we'll know you moving forward.
Well, I'm a longtime resident of Newark, New Jersey, born and raised. I live a pretty normal life outside of being on the runway. I have 2 children, a beautiful family. I'm actually the 5th child out of 6 children. And how I got to the point of becoming the runway killer, so to speak, I took a lot of influences from my mom. There's only 2 other girls in the family, me and my sister. So my mom really influenced a lot of our fashion ideologies in regards to the way that she dressed and the way she carried herself, how she spoke, how she interacted with people in public. And I grew up as a tomboy. So a lot of that didn't resonate. But as I got older, I started to understand the importance of what being a lady is. So when I started doing my modeling and started runway work, I would always get into this zone where I would be on the runway and I would just kind of have some tunnel vision and walking that runway like never before. And after I come off the runway, I would have all of my friends and different people that attended the show that would say, "You killed that," or "You murdered it." So I developed that name, the original runway killer, because I was the only person that had that name at that time.
Oh, okay. So it was a name that was given to you out of affection for your creativity and what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of admirable because, they obviously liked what they were seeing. So, all right now, original runway killer. So, you've been modeling now for how long?
For a little over 23 years.
Over 23 years?
Yeah, if my math is correct. I started when I was 19. So
okay.
It was over 20 years.
So you've been in this industry for over 20 years. That says a lot. I'm really curious about, what was it that got you started in the industry? 20 years is a long time, so you were a lot younger then. What was that seed that kind of gripped you that you said, I want to do this?
Well, back then, I had no ambition on being a model. I actually suffered from an assortment of different things as a young woman, just trying to understand my own body image and my place in the world. I had low self-esteem and low confidence. So I was just walking down the street one day, and a guy by the name of Ali Abdur of Upscale Network, New Jersey, discovered me on the street. I was just walking down Broad Street, and he pulled me in and said, "Do you want to be a model?" And I said, "Well, why not?" And he was offering free training for an assortment of different models, and he was acting, and he would bring in models that were well versed and well better skilled than I was to come in and teach these little girls from North. So what people didn't know was that during that time, I suffered from anxiety and depression. So I created, on the runway, I created this image of myself of being this great, fabulous, fierce person, but inside, I didn't feel that way. So as time it went on, I tell the story of modeling actually saved my life, because I went through a lot of dark stages in my life, and that image that I've created in myself actually saved me. So as I went through my own personal development and gone through my trials and tribulations, I ended up becoming that woman that I seen 20 years ago. And I've never looked back.
Right. And you bring up something so poignant right now, because mental health is so critical right now. It's all over the news. And we all are human, so we all go through things, and we never know how we can go about masking something. I'm glad that you were able, like, someone saw something in you back then, and they grabbed you, and you joined forces and you started your modeling career there. But even though it was a mask at the time, I'm so happy that you were able to marry what you were feeling outside to what you begin to see in yourself on the outside, being a model. With that being said, I know that it's actually taking you to a whole nother level in the fact that you are now a runway coach. Can you tell me how that came about? How you were able to transition from that state of depression into actually helping others?
Well, just taking all of that, I did take a long break. Right at the time where I turned about 40, life was life, and I went back to school, got my master's degree, raised my kids, and then I figured that now this is the time for me to come out and now really enjoy modeling in the way that I did. And what I started to notice is, as being a curvy model and walking in these different shows, I noticed that a lot of plus size and curvy models did not have the confidence, didn't have the skill to be able to showcase themselves on the runway. So I've decided to pour that back into that population in order to give them the confidence that I didn't have 20 years ago. And again, being able to mask that low self-confidence or low self-esteem within yourself is, it's hard, but a lot of times I can kind of detect that by meeting someone. So I like to tell that story to those models to give them encouragement, because I know how it feels, even though I was a little bit bigger during that time, I know how it feels to be ashamed of yourself or looking at yourself in a different light where someone else thinks you're the greatest person ever. So I try to pour that into those models so they can understand you're just as special as everyone else. It doesn't matter what your size is. It doesn't matter the color of your skin or whatever, your sexual orientation or whatever. We're all special. And if I can pour that into someone that maybe needed that help like I did 20 years ago, I've done my job.
Yes, you have. And you know what? This is an exciting conversation, but we're going to put a pin in it and we're going to come right back. So stay put. Welcome back to Beauty Behold, Beauty Transitions. We're here with Anjie Brown, the original Runway Killah, and we are so in-depth in conversation. So let's get back going. Anjie, I tell you, what you have transitioned into from depression to becoming a runway coach is like so fantastic. With that in mind, I know that there are certain things that we as wannabe fashion icons have to do or should do. What are some of the things, like 2 or 3 things that you say when you're dressing yourself, whether it's on the runway or whether you're walking out your door, that are the must things to do that you would suggest for all of us?
First and foremost, love yourself. Whatever you wear, Usually the things that I usually buy for myself are risque, sheer sequins, you name it, I wear. But I am very comfortable with how I wear my things and how I want to present myself in public. And I think a lot of times women are a little fearful for wearing certain colors and patterns, but just loving yourself and knowing your body and knowing what looks good on you. Be courageous, take risks. Do away with all fear of you trying different things, because you never know, you might be inspiring someone else. Also, in regards to looking for inspiration, I go to social media. I go to my friends. I go to the people that I hang with, the other fashionistas of the world, and I take inspiration from that. So in all cases, if you don't know what to do, run to social media. Go to your fashionable friend. If there is someone in a fashion show that inspires you some type of way, ask them questions and gain your inspiration from there. I like to say that I am a fashionista, but I also look at the other women in our society to take all of that inspiration from.
One thing that you're saying is key is you learn from others. And we all, no matter what field you're in, have to learn from other people.
Yeah.
We are not on this world by ourselves to do everything by ourselves. So I see your growth in that. And thank you so much for sharing that with others. And you guys take heed, because we like to walk around thinking that we could do everything ourselves. But with that in mind, with the, your tips and everything, it just brings up a question. So your first fashion show ever, what were some of the things that you weren't doing so well, or the things that you did do well? Or can you share like a funny memory of you thought that you were the bomb diggity, and now in hindsight today, you're like, I needed to learn a lot. Can you share a funny tidbit with us?
So I don't know if maybe it was the first year that I started actually doing shows and kind of building that confidence. And I tell you, I was shy. I was scared to be on the runway, but once I got that tunnel vision, I was there. So Tyrone Shapley, great, well-known designer in Newark. He was commentating. He was also showing some of his items, which he does all the time. And I wasn't used to walking with him. And I got on the runway in old Tyrone fashion.
Designer, whole oyster, and stylist. And Angela, bringing you the fashions. This is see what I'm saying? Take a look at that. Tuskegee. Give them something to talk about. Give our neighbors something to talk about. Bring it back down one more time, girl. And you better show them your biscuits are a shame. Ladies and gentlemen, she said, I'm going to show you Tuskegee. Please, Amor Couture.
Bring it back. Come, turn it around. And he gives these cadences that you have to listen to. And I was unaware and I didn't. So I ran down the runway as fast as I could and came back because I'm like, oh my God, he's talking about me. And ran back and shoot it past him and into the backdrop. And he's like, bring it back, and made me come all the way back out to do it again. So I'm like, you know what? I'm never walking for this man again. And I recently just told him maybe like this year that he scared me to death when I first started. And that love is me. But I was like, I was scared of you. I didn't, and the more I wanted to walk with you, I just wanted you to not say anything when I walked out on the road.
Right. It's amazing that you're bringing up Tyrone Shapley, because he played a big part of me doing what I do besides hosting, and that's doing makeup. And it's so funny that you say that, because I love his commentating. He's hilarious to me. He makes me laugh when people are on the runway, but he pulls it out of you. He really, so I want to I know this is your interview. I'm gonna give him a prop right now because
Yes, please do.
I see it across the board, and especially when I speak to people, I see how he's pulled them out of their shell. Me being one of those people. But okay, so that's a good transition into asking you, who are some of your favorite designers that you've worked for?
Of course, Tyrone, he's so avant-garde and fashion forward. I love walking for him. He's a great support system for me. Also, Donna Bird, she's very like chic and I'm dating myself by saying hip, but she usually has all of the things that modern women wear nowadays, and she doesn't hold back. Marco Hall, Zaki, he's a newer designer. His line is Black Icons. He's a personal friend of mine and also my stylist. Lynette Ware, she's not technically a designer, but she is now creating her different lines, and she's a fashion influencer in North. Love her to death. We're actually good friends. And Dawn House of Teleferro, she's made an iconic outfit for me. I've worn in a couple of different shows, and an assortment of different local designers. Craig Blunt, which is all of my friends. And just walking for them because they pour so much into me as a model, where there was times where I wasn't sure of myself, and like Tyrone and like Donna, pushing that battery, turning that battery in my back to make sure that you're doing your best at all times. And every time that I walk for them, I get a different energy. So
yes.
Walking with them is a pleasure.
So I think that you sort of answered my next question, because I was going to ask you who inspires you. And I think that you really covered that. Let me see. But if you were, out of everyone that you mentioned, if you were to say this person is my number one, and I know I'm putting you on the spot, mentor, and it's not to take away from all the other great designers that you've mentioned here, but if there was one person, because there's always, how you have a teacher that you look back on, whether it was your kindergarten teacher or your third grade teacher, that was a turning point in your mind that really, really helped you. Who would be that mentor for you? It doesn't necessarily even have to be a designer. It could be someone who's mentored you both emotionally, physically, even in your career. Do you have one that you can name?
I actually have 3. So one is my mom. God rest her soul. She's always poured that drive into me, being the best person I could be. And of course, Tyrone and Hope Royster. Those 2 individuals have helped me to propel my career at such great heights that I've never would have been able to envision maybe 20 years ago. So I owe a great debt of gratitude to them.
Yeah. Well, we are having an enjoyable conversation. I'm going to stick another pin in it. And don't you move, because we'll be right back with Beauty Behold Beauty Transitions. Welcome back to Beauty Behold Beauty Transitions. I'm here with the fabulous model, runway fashion model, Anjie Brown, who is the original runway killer. We've been having a great conversation, so I want to kick right back into it. So Anjie, we've been talking a lot about a lot of things about your career, but I want to ask you, there's always someone else that comes behind you that wants to walk in your shoes. A person that looks at you today and I want to do what you do. What advice would you give them? Because a lot of times individuals think that they could just step into someone else's shoes and that it's easy. So I know you've learned some things along the way, like some keys that you can, provide them so that they're aware of what they need to do to have a successful career.
If modeling is your passion, make it your mission. Put in 100% into everything that you do. Don't worry about any other person's expectations of you. I know there's been times where, my family would say, modeling isn't getting you anywhere. It's just a useless habit. But now 20 years later, I've gained so much traction and built my career up into a place where I can be proud of. also with a lot of times we older models, I don't like to use that term, but are seasoned models rather. We are not going into the same industry we went into back in the 2000s. You know, things have changed. You know, now you have to have a social media presence. You have to have, you know, followers and content. And back 20 years ago, all you needed was a comp card, a portfolio, and a drive. So now with the models over 40 or the plus size models or whatever demographic that you fall into, now we're doing a little bit more footwork in regards to getting our face and our image out into the public. And sometimes that might be hard because we don't come from a technological age from, you know, social media. But learning how to be able to transition what you used to do into things that you need to do is very key.
Yeah, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. I want to ask you now, what is up for the original Runway Killah? What are you doing next?
I am in February. I'm going to be doing an assortment of different fashion week shows. I'm doing AC. I'm doing Newark Fashion Week Festival. I'm doing Philly. I'm also doing New York Fashion Week itself. So there's a few shows that I have that I'm going to squeeze in the spring season. Also, I'm in the process of developing a model training and talent development agency, where it's going to be a platform where it will show you different videos from teaching you how to walk the runway to how to prepare for a go-see, how to put your comp cards together, a lot of different things that models don't get just walking in these local shows and just blindly going into castings. So it's a lot of things that I feel that I could offer the newer models or even some seasoned models, things that we've missed in our journey. So being able to do that and present that, I'm also going to still train plus size and curvy models. I'm also looking to work with some individuals to offer model training for men and children. And also this year I've tried my hand at a little acting. So I'm looking forward to pushing forward with that and see where that takes me.
Oh, wow. You're doing a lot, but you know, in our private conversations, I told you that you have the it factor when it comes to fashion. If you guys don't know, you got to follow her. This girl, when she walks into a room, she turns heads. I've seen her dressed as fine as wine, as they say, but a Mary J. Blige double take, you're like, what in the world? I mean, you turn heads when you walk into a room. So with my little sidebar conversations that I've had with you in the past, I've said to you, have you ever thought about styling others yourself? I heard you mention earlier on that you have a stylist. So is it your stylist that styles you, or is it you that styles you? And is it something that you would be interested in doing?
I would most definitely would pursue an avenue for styling. My stylist actually styles me for photo shoots and things of that nature, but I style myself on a daily basis. I'm often helping my friends put outfits together. I'm in the department store telling people that's buying a certain outfit, I don't think that's not the color. I think you should try this and put this with that. So a lot of times I'm like butting myself into people's styling conversations and trying to help them. And that's just what I usually do. But I would really be open to becoming a stylist and at one point opening a boutique. So trying to bring forth all of my different fashion ideas to a store. I would be open to that.
And I would shop there, Angie. I definitely would shop there. Because you really, sometimes I think I know what I'm doing. And then when I happen to bump into you, I'll be like, what in that girl? Yes. So it's been absolutely lovely chatting with you. And you are now welcome to the Pipe TV family. We will have you back. We love and adore you. But before we let you go, how can people get in contact with you?
Well, you can get in contact with me on Instagram at the original Runway Killah, and that's Killah, or by email at Anjie, ANJIEB as in boy, .models with an S @gmail.com.
Okay, well, this has been another great episode of Beauty Behold Beauty Transitions. Thanks to the original Runway Killah, Anjie Brown. Thank you again for joining us. And for all of the viewing audience, you know what I always say, stay beautiful.
Stay beautiful.
Beautiful Anjie.
Thank you.